All right, this is layers of dream on everything I touch. Soft, undisturbed dust. Clouds drift. My mind howls. This is not how it should be. A softly strummed guitar, hidden melody, roaring chainsaw, a meditation, footsteps, clatter and crash in a rush from here to there. My roots twitch, seek sustenance, solidity, a balance between have and want, a patterned reality. Chainsaws strum, my mind hidden, layers of cloud dislodged, howls disturbed, meditation, clatter and clash, a rush, have and want, balance, guitar saw and chain, my mind not how it should be, living alternative patterns, breaking, flail, twist, twitch, drift, layers of pattern hidden, isn't soft, howls, could have been, sold solid sustenance, my mind dusted, roaring here to want, howls, footsteps strummed in dust, I touch old, I rush dream, my mind roots, living is not how it should need, what could have flail and twist, howls, howls, roots, rush, reality patterns layer, living dream on everything I mind, dust clouds touch footsteps, how it disturbs alternatives, chain tar, strumation, ballady, hinged sustenance, district, roosh, howls, howls, howls. This is a life underground. There were no windows. There were no windows in my room. Bare gray block foundation on one side, unsanded wooden surface on another, exposed 2x4 framing for the final two walls. There was a curtain that separated me from the septic well and its macerator pump, a curtain between me and the water heater and the moist mist of effluent swirling and gushing up and out. I had a door I could close. A door I could close to seal myself in, closed off from the heat, from the light, from the fresh air. I closed it when the music got too loud, when the tequila flowed, when the clouds of burned weed floated like smog through the basement, when the cocaine kept everyone up talking and laughing and snorting until nearly daybreak, when the nights never seemed to end. I would wrap myself in my torn green sleeping bag on my piss-stained mattress and push my head under my worn, musty pillow. I would imagine myself outside, amongst the trees and mushrooms, climbing the cliffs and splashing through creeks. Imagine myself in the books read under the hanging bare bulb poking through insulation, a wizard, a knight, a spacefaring adventurer. Imagine myself away where there would be some peace, some quiet, some way to shut out the noise and the vapors yet still be warm. Imagine myself anywhere but my dark, mildewy room barraged by drunken, raucous laughter and shouted obscenities. Imagine myself alone and free. I wandered the forested hills of my home, my dog, my companion, a strong stick to occupy my hands, hardwood, sturdy, not too long, not too short, just right for thwacking the dying pine branches, breaking through boughs, beating against my frustrations. I would wander, whiling away the long summer days, whispering with the breezes and birds, wander and build forts out of fallen trees and savage slab wood, hammering nails through boards above the forest floor, constructing fortresses, escapes, where I could breathe and be. What happened to dull the memories of my youth? The pains endured, the traumas experienced, the black swaths of time missing from my mind have apparently vanished from my siblings as well. Defense mechanisms engaged, foiled occasionally by dim photos and blurred stories. That sad young thing hiding behind bangs, hiding behind music, hiding behind vivid art and constant activity somehow thrived, evolved, made it out. And yet, some part will always remain, tucked under the wood stove, curled into the thin green bag, lying on the hard sawdust-laden concrete, shivering darkness. That's in Verhaegen.
So I did not go to St. Rose, but I did go to college. And And it's like, you know, you move 4 hours away and you make friends with people that you just would never thought you would. It's just amazing, you know, the friendships you have, at least for me, it really was. So I'm gonna just read 2 things about friendships. I went to Cobleskill. Amazing, amazing 2 years. So this is called Us, Just Us at Petersen Hall. I'd seen them at every party, every lunch table, all over campus, everywhere at once. Danny, so handsome. Danny, the star of the soccer team. Danny with the mod British haircut. Danny with the hot stop traffic girlfriend. Brian, Danny's roommate, Danny's jester, sidekick, drinking buddy. Brian rotund, Brian gentle. Brian every girl's shoulder. Brian every guy's other buddy. Both of them so cool. Coolest. They let me in first sight. The 3 of us. The 3 of us. We sat in their room night after night, just us. Like brothers, acting stupid, drinking, smoking, mostly smoking, always smoking, talking, always talking, laughing, always laughing, wrestling, roughhousing. Sure, we were friends with all the guys on the floor. All our doors were always open. We popped in from room to room, loud, raucous nights. I loved other guys on that floor, some of them as deeply, differently. Still later most nights, the other guys went downtown. The 3 of us always stayed back. Pipes, joints, bonds. The Pink Floyd Animals album. Over and over, I'd be a cougar, Brian a wolf. Danny would laugh and laugh watching us. We'd laugh and laugh being watched. 3 people could be tricky. Sometimes I was a third. Sometimes Brian was a third. Sometimes even Danny was a third. We corrected as soon as one of us noticed. Boy, we sure loved each other. We never went downtown that entire semester. Our 3-ness, all that closeness, all that exclusiveness, it made sense that I wanted that. I was so strange with everyone else, so contradictory, inconsistent, everybody's laboratory animal. I was a little too close, a little too distant, a little too loud, a little too quiet. Our 3-ness, all that exclusiveness never made sense. They needed that. They were the poster boys of success, the poster boys of cool, sitting in their room every night. Us, just us. And then this is about another amazing friend I had in Cobleskill, and this is all 1978, 1979. I'm 63 years old. So it's 4:30 a.m. on a winter's night in Cobleskill. The bars are closed, the pizza place is closed, everything is closed. The whole world is closed for business. 4 of us are walking in the middle of the road. We walk comfortable, neither intimate nor distance apart. We take up the entire width of Route 7. We walk in silence. Our silence aligns with the complete silence all around us. I only hear our footsteps. Our footsteps sound spongy. The road is covered with about an inch of snow. It occurs to me that our steps are in exact unison. I'm amazed. What are the chances that 4 people's steps are in unison? Since our steps are not self-conscious or deliberate, we're all in our own midline comfortable buzz. We're too tired to pay attention. I almost say all this about walking in unison and what it means, but I don't want to interrupt the silence. We've been silent for several minutes. We're all talked out from talking in Janine's room. We're all talked out from talking to Janine at the bar, at the pizza place, standing around outside the pizza place closed. We're partied out. We're danced out. Ginny finally breaks the silence. Look at us walking in the middle of the road like we own Cobleskill. Amy says, yeah, in her stoned out, flowery voice. I'm fighting back tears. The tears swell over my eyes. I've never been so happy in my life. We own Cobleskill. We own the world. Four of us, all 18-year-olds, own this night. I feel this all in real time. We had never heard of Cobleskill, never knew each other existed. All this existed only months ago when we were still 17. We're walking uphill now, our breathing simultaneously labors. I listen to Janine's breathing. I often listen to Janine's breathing. I'm in love with Janine. Janine is gorgeous. Long brown straight hair, bold blue eyes. She has a curving womanly figure. Her bearing is regal. She's not the slightest bit in love with me. Better yet, she's not in the slightest bit sexually attracted to me. She assures me she's not attracted to any college boy. She's attracted to older men. Hence, she's given me an out. I can be in love with her to my heart's content. I'm a sister God's gift to the planet, love. But I think I'm the real God. I think I'm in real God love. So I'm happy. I'm normal. We're halfway home and still a car has not come in either direction. We own Cobleskill. I've never walked home from a bar at 4:30 a.m. I've never felt so unafraid. Janine is never afraid. She's always in charge, no matter who is with us. She never plays up to guys. She never defers to them. Most of the guys on campus looking for a girlfriend steer clear of her. She's too much of a force. Yet every inch of Janine is soft, her speech, her walk, every movement of her limbs, so graceful, feminine. An entire campus of frightened 18-year-olds want to be her friend. She has picked me from her pile of applicants. She's picked me to be one of her main friends. I spend hours in her room. People knock on her dorm room every day when I'm visiting. She usually doesn't acknowledge them. She keeps talking to me. She's trained me to keep talking if I'm the one talking. They must hear us talking. It makes sense when the knocker knocks again. Still, Janine does not acknowledge them. I imagine hearing them say she must be with Tim again. I've been given Janine's exclusive audience. I love those times when she does yell at the door, come in, and allows another friend entrance. They see me sitting on her desk chair while she's stretched out on her bed. Janine lets them hang out with us. For a while, we're all friends, but none of us are friends really. We're all friends with Janine, not with each other. We barely speak to each other when we're without her. Jealousy streams through all of us. 2 weeks ago, Janine wanted to go out for an expensive dinner at a fancy schmancy highfalutin restaurant downtown Cobleskill. She said we looked so beautiful together. I had neither the clothes nor the money. She bought me expensive clothes. She chose the suit. I showed up at her door looking like a movie star. She wore a floor-length gray dress. We looked amazing. We turned every head walking across campus. We spent hours in the restaurant. She paid the entire bill. She said, "Isn't this wonderful? We're playing a game. We're playing perfect people." Janine listens to cool music none of us have ever heard. She wears clothes nobody else wears. She always pulls it off. The super handsome guys on campus want her. Every real guy rubbernecks as she passes. She looks back at them with icy poise. The guys fumble and stumble if they do manage to get close. My male competitors stare at me too. They compare themselves with me. I compare myself with them. I'm as handsome as these men, more handsome sometimes, but I see something in them I do not have. They have lust. I cannot give Janine lust. I have no lust for anybody. I think my mother and father have ruined sex for me. They have ruined lust for me. Been with enough girls already to know sex isn't going to be in the cards. Every time I try, I can't breathe. I feel trapped. Still, when my competitors stare at me, I stare back. I feel this vague, uneasy revelation every time it happens. I always win these competitions. Janine has never ditched me for another guy when we're downtown or anywhere. Janine, the goddess of loyalty. She's the coolest of the cool. I feel so cool hanging out with her. Tim, you are going places. Yes, I am. A Janine like this Janine would have never chosen me back in high school. Yes.
You can sit around.
Hey, Ron.
All right. Hey, Ron. All right. Here, Ron Shavers is on.
I'm actually at a wedding.
Is that a
I'm at a
wedding?
wedding reception. Oh yeah. But I just figured I would say hi. What's up, people of Earth? Right? Hey, how are you guys?
They're reading.
Oh, wait, am I interrupting a reading?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a poetry reading.
Are you reading?
Oh, no. I'm at a wedding reception.
Oh, you're
So,
on the
okay,
list,
like-
man. You were up next.
Well, maybe I could just beatbox or whatever. Like, well, hey, it's great to see everybody. Enjoy the reading. Michigan, I love you. Do great things, right? Just because it's done doesn't mean that you are, right? So, as somebody said to me once, in the most immortal words, just fuck shit up, okay? Creatively, at least, right? Much love, right? And yeah, all right. I'm crashing somebody's reading, so I'm just gonna GTFO. But yeah. All right, thanks guys. And yeah, as you can see, I can still barely work the technology as the thumbs and stuff in front of the thing. All right. Okay, bye-bye. And thank you, Jacky, for sending me the Zoom invite too. And hey, like great to see all of you guys. Okay. All right. Peace. Bye-bye. Love you guys. All right. Ciao.
All right. So, Barb, you wanted to read too, right?
Sure.
So I'm gonna put you on the list. What is JVC? Is that
Oh,
something?
that was, no, that's nothing. No, that could
Okay.
be Barb.
That could be Barb. Okay. All right. There we go. And so I'm gonna hand the host duties over to Amber, right?
Oh, sure.
Okay. And then yeah. So I love that Ron just dialed in. That was perfect.
That was amazing. Yeah, that's what we were all waiting for. So that's great. All right. folks.
Minimum commitment.
He's at a wedding apparently, so I'm amazed that he came at all. All right, folks, we know why we're here, right? We're not gonna talk about it because it will make everyone sad, but there's a lot of, what's that?
The school closed?
Something like that happened, yeah, I don't know, I heard about it. So we're gonna have a series of readers that all got their MFA at St. Rose, that's the whole thing that we're doing here. And we are actually, Avery, you wanna start? You wanna start? Okay, we are actually gonna start with Becky. Ready? All right. Woo, woo.
I want to say thank you. I can get through this without coffee. Thank you to Amber for including me. There's no voice else I'd rather be tonight. Also a graduate of St. Rose, but not the MFA program. I went in another direction for education. So my wife Carol is in the MFA program. So I just want to read a couple of her poems if you bear with me. And the first one I want to read from her book is If You Want to Write a Love Poem. And it's about us, so. You must include the night we fell asleep inside each other, velvet and warm. Pink petals spread across pillows. You feeding me briny olives, one by one. A vanilla scented candle. Fuchsia eyes. Chrissy Hine on small stereo. The Lottery by Shirley Jackson. Your downy skin. Finally reaching the itch in the swell of my back. I don't always get sad when I think of it because some of the things just make me smile, like the downy skin. I'm pasty. There's just no getting around it, I'm pasty, but you know, poets put things in their own way. It just makes me smile. The petals across the pillows, rose petals may seem romantic, but they're a mess. So stuff like that. She wrote it, and it was a wonderful night, and it was a wonderful time together we had for 23 years. This one she wrote, and when I got home from the hospital, I don't know why I just grabbed her book off the shelf, and I was looking through her poems, and this one stuck out to me and made me make some of the most difficult decisions I've ever had to make in my life. But it's what she was talking to me through the poem. Because I had to show her, going, what do you think this means? What do you think this means? Everyone came to the same conclusion. It talks about her fears, and I knew her fears, but to just take this off the shelf that night and see it written down there. I've always said I didn't care what happened to me after I was dead, as long as I was really dead. Please don't bury me alive. I've always said I didn't care what happened to me. I'm not afraid of death. I'm afraid of pain. I've always said I didn't care what happened to me after I died, as long as I died first. Please don't die first. Just let me lighten things up a little bit. When she died, her daughter and I knew how we felt about her, about how she felt over death. And we were both thinking at the same time, like, make sure she's really dead, you know, check her twice. And we wanted to tie the bell on her toe, you know, just in case, you know, there was any hope, you know, we get a bell watcher and all that. And so just to lighten things up without really saying too much and having everyone in the hospital think we were two of the most horrible people in the world. But she was afraid of pain. She was not afraid of dying, but she didn't want to be in pain. Unfortunately, I was left with the pain, but she loved all of you. We were sharing before this about Carol wrote poems on every scrap of paper she could find. We were talking about the Post-it notes, and I'm still coming across Post-it notes in weird places around the house, and it just makes me smile because she had the notes. You guys know she had notes. I'd go in the grocery store and leave her in the car, and I'd come out and there'd be like little scrap of paper. I mean, I was a teacher, I lived out of my car, and she would have these scraps of paper everywhere. And look, I started home here. I started home. Oh, you can't have this back, but that's my lesson plan. Oh no, that's my poem. Wait a minute, no, let's talk about this here. But she loved being at St. Rose. She loved her poetry reading. She loved being with you guys. And I like to come and tag along for a few of the events and going to ships for, you know, a good time. You know, I mean, good fun called ships. But I really I am so happy that you included me tonight. And I know I ramble on, but she's made me a good job. I do.
Bueno,
Thank you. Again, really appreciate it. I did not make everyone cry, but I just didn't need to make you cry.
oh, it was just good.
Yeah. Now, I too am sad that St. Rose. So,
I'm not going to be very articulate right now, I think, for obvious reasons. But up next is Avery.
Sure. Well, and I'm only coming up to read another piece by Carol because I didn't know Becky was going to be here, and so I picked out a couple as well. She was an amazing person, and she came to my 40th birthday party, and we freaking raged and had such a good time. And it's on my Facebook page. It's still one of my pictures, so I see it every time I log into Facebook. But I'm just going to read the very first one, which is Nancy Wants Me to Go Deeper. So that's about Nancy is the one of her teachers. Yeah. Dig for the deeper stuff, she says. Write what you cannot say. In the depths of the earth, diamonds are found. Write what you cannot say. Throw the dirt behind you in a frenzy for diamonds which are found. Past what you think your limits are. The dirt falls in pieces behind me. I reach water. Keep going. Past what I think my limits are. Rage my voice and mean it. I reach water. Keep crying. Through all the insults. Find my rage and shout it. Mother's dead. She can't reply. Through all the pain, into the depths of the earth, me. Mother's dead. No reply, still. Nancy wants me to go.
So through my tears, I'm going to sneak in here again. Our next reader is the wonderful Barbara Ungar. I'm just going to take a moment to acknowledge Barbara Ungar here. She was our professor at St. Rose. I'm saying this to an audience of people that mostly know this. And Barbara is the reason that I write poetry. I went into the program thinking I was a fiction writer, and I kind of do that too. And I was not open to poetry at all. And that completely changed after having one class with Barbara Ungar. I cannot praise her enough. She's a phenomenal human being. And here she is right now to grace us with some of her poetry.
Thank you, Amber. I thought I was going to get through this without crying, but I'm crying already. I had no idea you were already a superb poet the minute you walked into that class. So I had no idea that you weren't already a working poet. I thought you were. So I'm not reading any sad poems. I'm going to read a couple of teaching poems. I have a lot of teaching poems, including one in my new book, After Naming the Animals, that just came out. I'm not going to read this one because it's not as funny, but I am going to be there at Collar City July 20th, and I will read that and any other poems that you like. So I'm going to read a couple from earlier books. This is from Charlotte Bronte, You Ruined My Life. And it was a creative writing class, undergraduate. And I started every day by having one student bring in a word that they didn't know the definition of, put it on the board, and then they had to give the class the definition that they had looked up. And so this became a kind of found poem, and it was written in conjunction with the class. It's called Mo Bad Names for Women. Can you guys hear me? It's so
Oh,
weird.
yes, very
Okay.
good.
All
Yeah,
right. It all began when Kiva brought in her word du jour, harpy, a predatory monster in classical mythology, having a woman's head and the body and claws of a vulture, an instrument of divine vengeance, a shrewish or depraved woman. Shrew begat virago, harridan, bitch, cunt, ballbuster, and pigeon. Synonyms for whore abound. Hoe, hooker, harlot, streetwalker, slapper, prostitute, concubine, courtesan, slut, tramp, wench, trull, skank, trick, cocktease, siren, trollop, strumpet, scarlet woman, Jezebel, vixen, nympho, and her antonyms, frigid ice queen. Under cow and dog came old-fashioned plain Jane, wallflower, horseface, butch, skag, busted, broke, slam pig, fugly, butterface. Everything looks good, but Monet looks good from far away, but and chicken head gives head a lot, leading back to category 2, hope. So we found women get put down for 3 things mainly: sexuality, hope, aggression, bitch, and looks, cow. Later, I realized we'd left out bimbo, to which Kiva added twat. So that actually really happened in class. I listed all those on the board. They were giving me the current slang. I don't know how much of that is still current. And then Kiva came in for office hours. She walked into my office and I was like, Kiva, we forgot bimbo. And she said, yeah, and what about twat? So like the last 2 lines got added on. So that was cool. So in my new book, I have one called I'm Teaching Homer for 30 years. I've actually been teaching Homer for 37 years because I started at City College, where I taught for 8 years before I came up here. But this is probably the funniest one. It's called Athena's Blowjob. And I don't think any of you, except maybe Brett, did any of you have me for the Odyssey? Did anyone take Early World Lit with me? I think, Brett, you might be the only one I had in undergrad. Did you take that class? Did we do the Odyssey?
I took Early World Lit, yeah.
Okay, good. So this is for you. Athena's afternoon class, nodding out over the Odyssey. I want to shock them awake. Imagine, I say, the terror of a world where you can't tell a beggar from a king, a pig from a man, a girl from a goddess. What if I turned into a bird and flew out the window, or shrugged my rags off in the doorway and started to shoot? Athena's turned Odysseus into a bum again, but for the big rendezvous with his kid, she yanks him out of the swineherd's hut to zap him with Olympic Botox and to fix his hair into hyacinth curls. I mean to say she gives him a blowout, but it comes out blowjob. Their stunned faces glow with sudden desire to comprehend. Freudian slip, I say, even while flipping this into my bag of future tricks, noting the guys in the back row, flushed and awed, like the crew transformed by Circe from pigs back into men, younger, taller, more handsome than before. Thank you. I stole that last line from Homer, by the way.
That was awesome, Barbara. You never said blowjob in class, but I was paying attention all the time.
I was very, very careful with my graduate students, unlike Nancy.
Yeah. She was not. So when shit went down at St. Rose, when they cut our program and they fired our professors, I was working at the Writing Center and I used the school's money to create this chapbook called Siberia. And the collection is just a bunch of like fuck you poems to St. Rose. Essentially, that's what it was. This is just a big fuck you to St. Rose, and they paid for it, which felt really good and maybe it's petty. I don't know. So I'm gonna read from that, just a few little poems. They're small. I'm gonna read four. I'm breaking the rules, but they're small. I promise. They're tiny. Dare I say they're even a haiku? Okay. From pole to pole. Even the vultures have left in search of new bodies, the old ones, flesh frozen, burned by the cold. The vultures need young bodies, fresh, to carry on. This one was written by Carol. And she is one of the few that did not publish this poem anonymously. She was glad for them to see her middle finger. She really didn't care. That there are 50 Eskimo words for snow is a myth. Under cerulean skies, blood streams vermilion, under the watchful eye, but hidden body of the ice queen. Her keen voice brings us pain. Cross your fingers, bow your head. Maybe we're not really dead. This is the last one I'm going to read from Siberia. I think Ben wrote this. We remember Ben Appler. It's not this, but I'll read it for him. It's cool. I did. Oh, I did. Yeah, and it's like recorded. Oh. It's called Unseasonable. Careless winds squalling across wooden podiums, crushed page and vision. No sign of sunshine. Ice on plastic keyboards, Arctic fingers. Across the campus, frozen motion. Writer's block, inching like ground frost, unseasonable. Uneasy spring snow choking on emerging green. Planting poetry, trying to scratch shallow lines into frozen soil. Circling together, we try to breathe warm breath on uncertain seedlings. Green poems flimsy, spring stems stand shivering in glacial blusters. Fluorescent classrooms, chill, efficient, unwarm, but for our professors. From Siberia. I wrote this a while ago. I think I actually read it here. It's a poem for Carol. It's not been edited since because grief is hard. And I might not be able to make it through reading this, not because it's good or anything, but because grief is hard. For Carol. When the sun drew its curtain, they came through the trees. A silent arrival, a sudden and welcome there. They walked slowly, pause, and look around. This way, that way, they wandered. It was beautiful. They didn't even know if they were going to find what they were looking for, but they did. They must have. The prints on the mud between patches of bright green grass. Spring's surface. The next day, the wheels of my Subaru swerved around one of them. Its feathered body limp on the yellow line splitting the road. It lay there like a shattered branch, which hurt my heart, another thing that wanders. And I thought of you. Oh, I miss you. Oh, it makes my heart hold its breath. Just like this, I thought, how things happen. Like the end on a yellow line, wheels that drive around it, like losing you. Without understanding, they happen. The sun draws its curtain. Somehow, our hearts breathe again. You're up. Yeah. Yeah.
This is doing all over crying.
Yeah, let's cry more.
No. Okay. So I was gonna write one long one, but then it became like howl, and we didn't have that time, so I made two. So a lot of things overlap. I'm not gonna cry. We're done with that now. It's gonna be fun. Okay. There's no title for the first one. Okay. A coffee pot Sistina, a girl in a basement dreaming of driving off bridges just to see who reacts. a dime for a grandmother gone, a marriage bearing a black and blue accent, Texas, because that's where fathers go to fall apart, hot yoga, horoscopes, King Lear innuendos, and there's a dick in every sonnet if you look for it. Pea waffles, first times, milfs, Ben and Jerry's, Valentine's, Low Beat, Massery, Anton's, the Social Justice Center, ships. Remember Nikki Sticks? And when Bernadette said, fuck Ronald Reagan. And when shavers wept while dancing to Madonna. I remember that. Theses that had no readers. And remember when a wine jug and carrots weren't enough for Sheridan to accept my track changes and he didn't talk to me for 3 weeks? The Illinois Enema Bandits rode again. Don't let them fool you. We made Austin weird. And while I'm in all the debt, I'm indebted to you because you are my family and you're the aunts and uncles of my child. Even with all of your resting bitch faces, you are hiding gooey hearted girls in there. And your Korean He-Man Christmases on the 4th of July in apartments with no AC. I can name all of your karaoke songs and I don't know my sister's birthday. I want to dance with somebody while I'm belting out Disney songs on Bourbon Street and feel summer love on a bar top in Schenectady. And Maggie May and John Deere Green are drinking strawberry wine with Valerie watching Avery screaming Michael Bublé. And we got married in a fever as a side project 100 years ago. The title. It's called Still Into You. I saw the silliest gooses of my generation stumbling down Lark Street, wing and wing, quoting a writer, or maybe it was each other, Adderalling all the way down to LAX, who, with tongues alive and eyes wide, bombs dropping, wondering if Mark Spitz would keep the gum in his mouth when I made out with him. We who refused to weep during jukebox breakups, just before a bartender kicked us out for too many truths and not enough dares. Our secrets shared. And never have I ever loved you so much as I did that morning we left ships at sunrise. Grinning from ear to ear, eyes glazed, a bunch of old-fashioned fuck-ups, muddling their histories in sestinas and haikus and commas we didn't know how to use. Sorry, Barb. Those were the days we workshop poetry and hangovers with the same amount of grace. In the Palais at 3 a.m., the bandits bled again. A pool table rendezvous, and did you know home is where the Schlitz is? Where we refuse to ever use what we say to each other against one another in emotional warfare like our parents did or our lovers did. We were warriors in the garden of snow. With words on napkins, so many it hurts to know how many tears they could have dried instead of being lost to the nitty-gritty landfills of Albany. Who fell apart down Madison Ave and curled their way to Lancaster. Our hip bones to hip bones, throwing stones into dirty puddles. I'm gonna be the next Bukowski, or Plath, or Sarah, if you say Nicholas Sparks, I will never love you. Slow dancing in my living room, listening to records, playing games, bearing our hearts like scars, wearing each other's clothes, chug-a-lugging through the reality that 10 pages were gonna be due by dawn. How many mouths in this room has your mouth kissed? Let's keep this list quiet, private, revealed in hidden lines on pages, hidden codes to prove we survived it. And how many of your arms have held me? In dark bars and darker cars, on pianos in Austin or on beaches in Boston, on the day that Lou Reed died while we were drinking in John's, cocktails that were so strong, they should only be allowed for the brave because we handle little to nothing. Wait, did you play this song for me? How much can I sabotage my life just to write one piece to impress all of you? Readings, bleedings, edits, shots. Oh shit, his fucking wife is cheating. Repeat it till it's muscle memory. We can hate it and then delete it. Table 14. Meet me there and we can discuss big A art And fuck off, Gaddis. You had me at confusion. I'm sorry, sir, your agape is a gape, and Sparrow is a fake, and Bernadette is dead. But not before she led us into insulting each other, just to forget our names and not knowing who to blame, except maybe Carol, who is roasting nuts with her father right now in an eternal Christmas scene, smiling at last, spinning Fleetwood Mac and vinyl, and HBD forever, and fuck Kevin Petersen.
Yes.
Now our thesis pages are rotting on shelves in a library that will be turned into public housing from a program that might have been dead on arrival. Yet we wrote with razor on rosebuds that we are here. And we were the lit of the littest. And before I finish, please. So awkward. Hello? Oh, this is awkward. No, it's fine. No, I'm okay. Are you okay? Okay. Well, I'm gonna go back to bed. I know. I'll always pick up the phone. Don't worry about it. No. I love you too.
Remember.
Yeah, you are.
What a face.
Sarah sure call me every day.
All right. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I can't stop crying. I'm the worst host ever. Sarah, that piece that was about you. It's so fitting. Let's come up here and read. Yeah. Through your tears, come read like the rest of us. Whew. Yeah. Some of what Jacky mentioned is also in here in certain ways. And Barbara, I'm really glad that you're here because this begins with you.
Thank you. Read loud, okay? It's hard to hear from outer space.
August 2012, my first graduate poetry class. One of the first poems I wrote was called Daily Commute. It went like this. I passed by a pond alongside the highway. Wonder how deep it is. If I drove off, would the car sink? I don't think there's enough water to drown. Now, on a different road with lots of trees, if I was going fast enough, I could just swerve. I wonder what would flash through my mind in those last seconds. If I got rid of the car altogether and walked a few miles, there's places I could go. Probably wouldn't take long to find my body, and the search might make the news. I go along another mile, and I wonder what picture they'd use. I wrote a lot of poems like this one. Poems sometimes described as dark. Poems I described as honest. They were about suicide and assault and sex and men and torture, pain, love and hope, and how desperately I wanted to be happy. Some were inspired by dreams, others, most, came simply from being alive. Poems and personal essays became my truth, my release, and the catalyst for my relationships with writers, friends, that would go on to shape me and teach me in ways I know I couldn't have possibly found anywhere else. People who answered my calls, passed the test at 3 a.m. People who were careful with my emotions and patient with my insecurities, people I saw, people who saw me. Aside from our love of writing, we were so different from one another. How we've been raised, the music we like, the way we dress, our ages, our strengths. At the beginning, I was intimidated. I thought they'd think I wasn't smart enough to be in the program, that there were too many authors I didn't know, too many books I hadn't read. They didn't care. They cared about what my goals were and what my heart needed. Full of words, creativity, passion, and knowledge, they embraced me for me. Even though I barely contributed at trivia nights and sometimes cried a little too much when I drank. In workshops, they'd critique and they'd challenge. They would tell me my fiction was weak and that I wrote about that yellow-brown carpet just a little too often. But mostly they'd encourage me, motivate me. They would sign me up for open mics, force me to sing karaoke, and visit me at work during long shifts behind the bar. These people quickly became my people. I needed them. Sometimes I thought maybe they needed me too. We spent so much time together. We traveled together, we read together, we danced, drank, we cried, we laughed a lot, we competed, we learned, listened, grew, watched each other fall in love, out of love. We held hands and hugged and offered each other compassion. We wrote haikus on bar napkins, ran in the rain, shared secrets and plates at Friendsgiving. We caught bouquets and garters at weddings. Always sat at table 14. We were friends and confidants and each other's biggest fans. I miss them. Sometimes I get mad at myself for letting time and life get between us, as they often do. Because what we had was rare. They were rare. They are rare. I wouldn't have ever thought back then that I'd be missing them 12 years later. I was convinced we'd be close the rest of our lives. But I'm choosing not to focus on that, not now. Because what matters is that I can still reflect on those years and transport myself back to that piano bar in Austin, the hotel room in Seattle, or the low beat in Albany reading poems about death. And I can be grateful for all those moments with the people who get me going when I wanted to swerve off the road. Getting like harder and harder.
Barb, do you think it would be easier if I moved you more in front of like this?
Can you hear better that way?
I heard Sarah just fine.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah.
Well, it looks like we have one more reader. And that is Brett Petersen.
What about Samson?
On the list.
He's
Did he
last
finish his
then.
poem?
I don't know,
Okay.
we're gonna make him go.
We're gonna make him go. We are. Okay, so maybe not.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, Brett.
Basically, I'm going to be reading the last story I ever wrote for St. Rose, which was for Hollis Seaman's 300 level English writing course. It's called The Labyrinth and the Jingling Keys, and it ended up in this book right here, which I published in 2020. Here it goes. I find myself in the sea of black again. I'm dreaming, I realize. As always, the sea is tasteless and odorless. Bubbles, some of them larger than houses, appear at the fringes of my peripheral vision. One of them contains a gingerbread house on top of a hill of powdered sugar. In another, a young soldier is lying on a cot. Flies are swarming around a spear of bone jutting out of his leg. A second soldier is pouring whiskey down his throat, and a third is sharpening a hacksaw on a slab of stone. Yikes! I swim as fast as I can away from that one. Some of the others, however, look quite desirable. There's one in which a bunch of cartoon characters are racing go-karts on the surface of a glazed donut. In another, a nude woman is lying on a couch, and a man, also nude, is serenading her with his basso voice. There's even one where a talk show host is doing tricks on a pogo stick. Every member of the audience has his face, and they are spraying the air with silly string. I can't help but chuckle. There are a lot of crazy bubbles in this area. I see one with a dog eating brownies out of the hands of a mime with the eyes of a fly. What the hell? A bunch of bombs falling on a sepia-toned landscape is superimposed with footage of a hooded man laughing. I shudder. I think it's time to move on to a different region. After swimming a while and seeing nothing, I sense a new one about to rise from the depths. Call it a sixth sense, but something tells me this one is going to be good. As the bubble surfaces, I gaze through its glossy skin. It contains an image of me seated in a plush chair staring at a television screen. A bag of corn chips is crumpled up on my lap, and my chest is dusted with crumbs. A lazy afternoon of doing nothing but watching TV and eating corn chips? I grin devilishly. Sounds like the best afternoon anyone could ask for. I swim up to it, extend my right leg and dip my toes in. Then my foot, leg, and entire body gets pulled in, as if the bubble has its own gravity. I will never get used to the feeling of the membrane sealing around my head. The air inside is stuffy, like someone had just jerked off and fallen asleep during a porno movie. I settle into the chair and reach for the remote control and the chips. But before I can press a button or bring a handful of chips to my mouth, ribbons of coarse material wrap themselves around me. I struggle against the straps, but they're too tight. I can't breathe. I scream for help, but I can't hear my own voice. A pair of mechanical claws emerge from somewhere behind my head and hook themselves beneath my eyelids, prying them open. Thankfully, the claws drip with some sort of saline solution to keep my eyeballs moist. If I wasn't under such stress, I would remark as to how cleverly this device was designed. The TV clicks on, its antennae quivering like the feelers of a chrome cockroach. To my disdain, it's reruns of Seinfeld again. This happens sometimes. The drugs take something that would seem benign and harmless and turn it into a torturous, hellish experience. Seeing George Costanza shove shrimp in his mouth for the 11th time, Jerry make his 600th joke about sex or airline peanuts, Elaine do her autistic shaman dance, and Kramer burst through Jerry's apartment door on an endless loop, I come to realize this is the only reality I will ever know. After 20 years or 8 hours of intertwining situational comedy plot lines segmented by slap bass and the forced laughter of the studio audience, morning arrives. The clock on the device sitting below the TV says 7:30, but to me, time has ceased to exist. Seinfeld has ended and Everybody Loves Raymond has come on in its place. The actors and sets are different, the plots are different, but the mechanical laughter of the studio audience remains the same. 35 years gets crunched into half an hour. Time becomes a neutron star so dense that it slurps off my skin like whipped cream through a straw. My body becomes the chair crumbles into dust, the dust disperses throughout the sea, and the sea collapses in on itself, revealing the fact that it is simply another bubble within a larger, much emptier sea. As my mind disassembles itself in an attempt to comprehend the void and the voids within voids beyond those voids, the world flickers off with that strange sound analog TVs make when the screen goes blank. The claws release themselves from my eyes and the straps retreat back into the chair. I rub my stinging eyes and massage the sore spots on my lap and torso where the straps had dug into me. Chips are scattered all over the place and the bag is nowhere to be found, but I am finally free to leave the bubble. Sometimes I feel like these bubbles aren't just fragments of my subconscious floating up from some unknown depth. Sometimes I am truly convinced that whatever reality the drugs tell my brain is real becomes my reality. Yeah, thank you guys so much for listening. Splashbooks.com or Amazon. Yeah, it's available. So just, yeah, cool. Thank you.
That was fantastic.
Joke's up.
I
Yeah.
prepared something nice for you guys.
Samson, are you ready?
Yeah.
Finish your poem? Wonderful. All right. I lied to you before. Last we have Samson.
Yes.
Yes, that's good.
The truth is, I didn't finish my poem, and I'm just going to read old poems. But there's large portions of me that wouldn't be here without a lot of you who are here now. And Barbara, you're a big part of that. Portions of me that I guess I didn't know existed, right? I guess couldn't have fathomed existed before the MFA program and everything that's come since. So here's 3 poems, I guess, that are of different ages. Some of them you might heard of before, but some of them you might not. But yeah, thank you to to everyone who's been a part of this so far. This is called Waiting in Line for the End of the World. We will wait in our cars for hours to catch a glimpse of total destruction. Staring out the window the whole ride home to the sound of our new dystopian music. It sounds like glass rods exploding in our ears, a new blue sound that sounds excellent in the bedroom. The truth is, it's the edge of the world, total destruction, teetering on the edge of Thanksgiving with even more screaming than you'd expect. From the First Nations on the prospect of a new 15-minute coffee break for prostitutes. What is going on here in this new Technicolor cartoon land in which many strange things are happening? Even the drugs have schedules to keep. We find ourselves searching for light in a black and white photo taken of a happy day, piano lessons given to children ready for young adult fiction to save them from their own misadventures. In another room of this total destruction, a filmmaker who consequently makes films, considers group meditation, pulls an expert, recommends Dick's Picks and a book on mythology of the white proletariat, slightly aged. In this new destruction, we will lay to rest the last good communist and start a new process we can't recognize, but will probably look like a video blog in many parts, chronicling the travels of a grandfather in a quest to find a place without authority. In our far-reaching memories are not unique. In time, we will discover a new kind of foam we can paint cement on. This will be good for 2 reasons. First, we will be able to recreate history, for blessed are those who build artistic interpretations of historical events. They shall inherit 1,000 lifetimes of criticism from people with liberal arts degrees. Second, this new foam will be the cash cow we need to live further off the grid. In this new destruction, we will ask, which way to the stage? A man with a beer will point towards the ocean. You see, this destruction will be an event worth a front row seat. In a moderate-sized venue, a bearded MC will introduce everyone to the new drug advocate. A young doctor with raucous applause cites what we've already known, that we want to be mainstream. But mainstream is the vehicle of destruction, a Harley-Davidson driven on a stage in a Bollywood reimagination of Terminator 2 Judgment Day, where the budget's so large the craft services table can serve multiple proteins simultaneously. We will love our new destruction. There will be many new practices, daily prayer coupled with recitations in foreign languages. At the end of it, there will only be a few voices, the newly dead, singing like their song might bring them back to us, the eve of our destruction wailing like a drunk in a midnight choir. This poem is called Rapid Eye Movement. I'm in love with a girl who can still read an analog clock. She tells me ghosts talk to her at night, and I've never seen her swallow bubblegum. I want to take her idiosyncrasies out for a spaghetti dinner at the second best Italian restaurant in town just to watch them rearrange the silverware. I guess I'm just a sucker for a spectacle, and she's a Roman candle boy in the basement, soot black face with some explaining to do. Somebody shoot me in the eye every day. BB gun dangerous, love blind and homesick. She left her parents in a train station before I could tie my own shoes. If this is a girl-induced coma, please wait to pull the plug until I can pick enough sunflowers as big as my head to cover my grave with the kind of mellow yellow I'd like to be remembered by. I hope she haunts me forever, like an old wives' tale told by an old wife on the day of our wedding in the electric garden of the afterlife. Chandelier swinging in God's motel, half-eaten room service on the fresh carpet, and the first real touch of her hand. This last poem is called Untitled. And before I read Untitled, what I had been working on and didn't finish, and what I will endeavor to finish, is the fact that Saint Rose, the saint for which it was actually named after, lived to be 31 years old. A short life, relatively speaking. She was troubled by a long illness that eventually killed her, but by moments of ecstasy also. And I think, God, why do we keep insisting on naming colleges after saints? Can't we just look up how they died and expect that it shouldn't happen to us also? But this last poem is called Untitled. Imagine you can feel a space beset on two sides by grave necessity and utter decadence. A space that is more length and width than breadth. A seemingly inconsequential gulf in which only exists the unnamed border of need and want. But for us, this space is broad. This space occupies the human element, a higher order of consciousness that allows for degrees to be finely measured. For we are no more than snakes without warmth and beauty, and we are no more than rain without tradition. As we evolve, our instincts shoulder the burden of an increasingly unstable structure built upon the moment where our talent first match our desires. Let us pay homage to that time when we could define our best qualities in shapes and patterns. Live underneath and in moments of pride, revisited in ever more vibrant color. A time before ego pushed us to the edge of vanity. A time where we were warm. We were beautiful.
I come back from bed.
If you have bad timing, Joe, you really do.
I still catch balls.
I think that's actually it, unless we have any last minute readers. I think that's actually the end of our reading. Thank everyone here for coming. Barbara, thank you so much for being here virtually. We appreciate you.
I'm so proud of everyone. Oh my God, I'm quelling.
Yeah.
You are all so wonderful. Stay in touch with me, please. All of my old writer friends are dropping dead or losing their minds. I kid you not. I need young writer friends. Okay.
We are here. We are here. And we're like halfway through losing our minds, so we still have some of it. So we're happy to share.
I still have my mind.
Yeah, I think I have maybe like a fourth. We'll see. I
It's
think
just wonderful to see you all.
this,
and then-
yeah, this is such a symbol of the beautiful things that came out of St. Rose, and though St. Rose is closed, we are not closed. We are very much open. I'm not going to say very much more because I'm going to cry again, but everyone in this room means so much to me. I'm so grateful for all of you. I love you so very much. And that's our St. Rose reading.